start. It is Anfield Agenda time. Craig is set for the day and the news. Sit back and relax, grab a coffee and chill, and enjoy the shenanigans tonight. Anfield Agenda. Anfield Agenda. YNWA. Anfield Agenda. Time for Craig to tell it straight. Watch alongs to fill your day. Make to subscribe and stay. Up the Reds, up the Reds. Oh, oh, ooh. Oh, oh, ooh. Oh, oh, ooh. Oh. Anfield Agenda. Anfield Agenda. YNWA. Anfield Agenda. Time for Craig to tell it straight. Watch alongs to fill your day. Make to subscribe and stay. Up the Reds, up the Reds. Oh, oh, ooh. Oh, oh, ooh. Oh, oh, ooh. Oh, 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 Anfield Agenda. Anfield Agenda. YNWA. Anfield Agenda.
What is up, my friends, and happy Virgil van Dijk Day to each and every one of you. We now know that our captain and our talisman are both officially signed up to Liverpool Football Club for 2 more seasons. And we're going to celebrate that tonight. We're going to be talking about our favourite Virgil van Dijk moments. We're going to be talking about, of course, the game coming up at the weekend, transfer stories, and everything else you would expect on a late night agenda. Appreciate you all giving up some of your Thursday night to be with me. And as always, this is your show. Let us know how you feel. I mean, first post of the day from Stevie Kirkman. We love this. He's a centre half. He's a number 4. And he's officially staying on as our captain. We love that. And again, we'll take you through some of the quotes from Virgil van Dijk today. Appreciate you coming in, Stevie. Appreciate your membership with us, bro, for 9 months. Cal Downs, how are you, sir? Said, hey, Craig, I cried when we won the league after a rough time in COVID. It meant such a lot. Can't wait to celebrate this one with the fans properly. I'm with you, my man. It's going to be excellent. I can't wait to be over in the city of Liverpool for the last day of the season. I mean, I get to do it twice, right? I get to do it on the Sunday and then on the Wednesday as well. It's going to be incredible. And the city deserves to celebrate it properly, Cal. So, yeah, delighted, my man, delighted. And it's getting closer. We know, of course, at the very least, if we win our next 2 games, it's done and dusted. So we'll talk about that. United, I believe, are now 2-0 up in their game. I think someone's just said Bilbao gone 1-0 up against Rangers, I think, via the penalty spot. So, yes, loads to go through tonight, my friends. Spurs 1-0 up as well, away against Eintracht Frankfurt. A Dominik Szoboszlai penalty in that one. And I think it's 1-1 in the Chelsea game, although they are up on aggregate. Craig, have you seen the Real Madrid news? Well, there's been lots of news around Real Madrid, my man. There's the stuff around Jurgen Klopp maybe being in contention there. There's the stuff about Carlo Ancelotti getting the boot this month. I mean, there's so much crap around that club. I don't really know which particular piece you're discussing, my man. But yes, loads of stuff. Right, so let's talk about Virgil van Dijk's wages first and foremost. It looks as if the big man's on about £385,000-400,000 a week. Himself and Mohamed Salah are now the second and third highest paid players in the Premier League, as far as I'm aware. And look, it's what it takes. You know, if any two players at our football club deserve to be talking about breaking through wage structures and barriers, it's our captain and it is our talisman. And look, the club probably had to pay a bit extra for both of them because they let it get this point. But like I always say, I'm not afraid to give credit. I'll criticise where possible, and I will critique, credit, and give praise where possible. And for this one, well done to everybody. To FSG, to Hughes, to Edwards, to everybody at the club. This is what we wanted. We got it done. Brilliant. But it's just the start. Now it's got to be backed up, of course, with the big summer transfer window. And Virgil keeps talking about quite how big he's expecting this window to be. So we'll get stuck into that tonight as well. Nomad says, fair play to the owners for giving Mo and Virgil that amount of money. Yeah, look, I've always said it, mate. I'm not somebody who just hates on the owners for the sake of it or for loving the sound of my own voice. I critique where I feel it necessary, but I'm not afraid to say well done when things are done how we want it to be and what's common sense. And in this one, yeah, well done to everybody. George, how are you, my man? Said Craig, I'm so happy the VVD and Mo are staying. Such a relief. So excited for the summer and for the Reds to lift number 20. Sinister said Arsenal 5-1 on aggregate versus Madrid. Yeah, congratulations to Arsenal. That was an incredible display. And they deserved it. They were by far the better side over the two legs. And hopefully this somewhat humbles Real Madrid, who, let's be honest, needed a bit of a humbling. But it was no fluke. Mikel Arteta's men were deserved winners over the two legs. And they take on Paris Saint-Germain now for a place in Munich in the final. Light said, I am usually FSG out, but honest, fair play to them, honestly. If we have the summer that we expected to have, then fairs to them. Yeah, if they rock up this summer and do the business that the club needs done, I will credit as well, my friend. If they don't, well, I will also be here to hold them to account. But either way, this is a good day for us as fans. This is a good day for the football club, and it's a day that we should rightly celebrate. That's why we didn't go in tonight with any other title other than Virgil van Dijk Appreciation and Celebration Night, because that's what it should be. Rocky, scared about City getting Wirtz and Simons. I wouldn't be too fussed about Xavi Simons. And look, I don't know if he is going to City. Maybe you know something I don't know. On Florian Wirtz, look, City have to go big. They need to replace the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. And Florian Wirtz, I don't think Bayern Munich have given up, by the way, on the idea of Florian Wirtz. Maybe they can't match the financial power of Manchester City, but what they can do is at least know that they're not going to be relegated because of, well, irregularity, shall we say. So on that one, Rocky, we'll have to wait and see what happens, bro. But if they did, I'm not that fussed about Xavi Simons either. You know, whether he comes to Liverpool or whether he goes elsewhere, he's not a player that I'd lose any sleep over. But look, Florian Wirtz is a cracking player, and as you've said, Rocky, if City get him, well, that is a good signing. There's no denying that. Stevie Boy said, explain what a big summer transfer window looks like under FSG. Again, fair point, mate, and I will do my best to explain it. So how I see a big or a good summer is a top quality left back. So we go out and we sign Kirkes. We readdress the forward line, and we do so with quality proven players who we know are going to be better than what we have. On top of that, we'll look right back situation. There is some, how do I say it? There's some optimism amongst a certain subset of Liverpool fans around Trent maybe staying. I'm not buying into that. I still think he's off. So we need a right back. And then look, it's to do what we need to do in midfield and at centre back. So I'm not going to say it has to be a 250 million pound summer, Stevie Boy, but it does have to be a very clear, precise, strategic summer that leaves us with no squad deficiencies. That's the level that I'm holding them to this summer. I want us to be looking at the team and going, yeah, this team is fully capable now of going out and trying to defend this Premier League title, and that we have cover in most positions. If they can do that, then I'll be a fairly happy Liverpool fan. But, of course, you know, it's easier to say these things about a big summer, but we have to wait and see what happens. I have a couple more super chats to get to Kyle, and I will get to them in a moment. Kyle and Liz, just 1 second. I wanted to give you a little bit of words from our captain, Virgil van Dijk, around this, because this is kind of what's got me excited. Where is the exact quote? Right, this one. this one. Right, so this here from David Ornstein and James Pearce say Van Dijk's ongoing desire to compete for the biggest trophies was matched by what Liverpool are determined to keep offering, and their summer transfer plans are expected to underline that. So you've got James Pearce, David Ornstein, and our own captain talking about this being a big summer. This one here from the Mail said that Chelsea were one of the clubs who were interested in trying to sign Virgil van Dijk, but the feeling they got back was that he was only going to sign a new deal at Liverpool. Virgil himself speaking said, "It is the place for me to spend my best years, be successful with the club as we have been over the years, and hopefully the future as well. I love the city, I love the club, I love the fans, I love my teammates, I love everything that embodies Liverpool, and on to many more." This piece from Paul Joy said Virgil van Dijk will now remain at Liverpool until close to his 36th birthday, though he does not intend for his association to end in the summer of 2027. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know if Virgil van Dijk's going to sign another extension past that, whether he's going to stay on as a coach. I really don't know. I'm just trying to read through some other quotes around Virgil van Dijk and the summer transfer window, so bear with me. But let me get to these super chats before I forget. Kyle, let me get one to you, sir. Calling it now. 5 days between the two. Trent signs Monday. Would be a greater surprise. Just think longer. The longer it goes, the more doubt, I think, with the Madrid links. Well, I don't think you're on your own, Kyle, with some optimism around Trent. Now, I won't lie, buddy. I'm not there yet. But again, like I've always said, if he changes his mind, if he stays, great, it's what we all want. But, you know, I don't want to be giving anybody false hope, because truth is, I just have no idea what's happening with Trent. Again, though, I'm looking at the style of writing, and it still seems to be one that suggests from, you know, the journalists and people in and around the club that he's probably off. But, you know, if we get a nice surprise and he stays, happy days. Liz, how are you, my friend, over in sunny Florida? Always lovely to see you. Happy VVD Day. My nephew at FSU is okay. I don't understand. Did something happen at FSU, Liz? I haven't been keeping up to date with the news today, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but I'm glad that your nephew is okay. And also, always glad to see you in, Liz, so thank you. God, some more super chats I need to catch up on. Apologies. Let me get into these ones. Man like Spence, how are you, bro? Said, is the reported 300 million summer with or without sales? So, I've always been consistent, mate, in one thing I've said about our transfer business. I don't think that there is ever a set amount of money that Liverpool have for transfers. And to be fair, even to the journalists that I often disagree with around these, a lot of the thoughts are the same. It isn't a matter of, here's X amount of money, go spend it. It's a matter of, is this deal, on each individual deal, good value? Does it work in Liverpool's framework? And can they get the player? So I would say to you to rubbish any numbers that are being thrown around. 250 million, 300 million, 200 million. I don't know. Because also, I don't know how anybody could know, because you don't know exactly how much you're going to recoup from sales as well. So you got to take that into consideration. So, yeah, I'm good with whatever it is, as long as I look at the team and think it has been upgraded in the departments we needed, and we're good to go into next season and compete. So in answer to your question, I wouldn't believe the money, man. I wouldn't believe any of the numbers thrown around. Yeah, because I don't think that's the way any football club would conduct business. You know, if you go out into the market and tell everyone what you have to spend, then they're going to up their prices accordingly. Rusba, how are you, my friend? Trent should smarten up and stay. Madrid is a mess. I agree. And look, we've said this all the way through, Rusba. It's just such a weird club that has such a weird sense of entitlement and arrogance that isn't born with what they're doing on the pitch anymore. Like, Madrid spoken about going for this new young, hungry set of team and no Galacticos. Well, look at that game last night. And all I seen was a bunch of prima donnas who weren't able to deliver. A defence that's weak, a midfield that needs refreshing, and an attack that over two legs were blunted by Arsenal and only got a goal because of a mistake from Arsenal playing out at the back. So all this Vinny Jr. should have won a Ballon d'Or nonsense. Well, last night he was crap again. Mbappe, invisible. So yeah, I agree. Trent should look around and go, I can achieve what I want to achieve here at Liverpool with my people. Marcus said the guy that Anfield implied he'd heard Trent was staying after all. Could be BS, but he seemed confident, and one of the other guys said something similar. Who knows? Well, do you know what? Let's put that to the poll tonight. Let's gauge people's feeling on it and ask what people are thinking. So, 1 second. Right, so simple question for this one. Do you think Trent stays? We leave that running for a while because you're not the first person, Marcus, to have said that. Other people today have messaged asking about it. I've read some other sites and stuff. But again, I don't know of any indication from anybody whose opinion I would hold in high esteem to say that he's changed his mind. But look, again, whilst he hasn't signed on the dotted line at Real Madrid, anything is still possible. Dalglish, how are you, bro? Welcome in. Said, if Barca or PSG win the Champions League, Rafinha or Dembele win the Ballon d'Or. However, if Arsenal or Inter win it, Salah will get it as both those teams don't have a standout for it. Thoughts? So, the bookies' favourite is Rafinha at the minute, and I think the second favourite is Lamine Yamal. And I don't know, like, Barcelona are potentially on for a treble. They're still in the Copa del Rey, I believe. They've got the league in their own hands at the minute, and they're into the semi-final of the Champions League. So, you know, if they did all those, then yeah, look, you couldn't really argue about Rafinha being the standout player and winning a Ballon d'Or. I'd say, do you know what? I'll go further and say he'd have a bigger shout for it than I felt Vinny Jr. had last year when I thought Rodri was a deserving winner. So, I'm not going to start thinking about Mo and a Ballon d'Or, though, at all, to be honest. You know, he'd have to have a fantastic end to the season and stick on a few more numbers. But even at that, I think going out as early as we did in the Champions League kind of puts paid to any Ballon d'Or talk. I'm still furious over the fact that Virgil was robbed of his one that year. To me, I didn't even think it was a debate. I think Virgil should have won the Ballon d'Or that season. I have Inter winning the Champions League, said Jamie. Look, I was speaking with Lee Gunner last night, actually. I was messaging back and forth with Lee after Arsenal's win. And Inter were the team he didn't want if Arsenal got to the final. He thought they were the most troublesome. Fancied themselves against Barca, and he fancied that they'd get past PSG, but he was worried about Inter. Cal. Craig, with the league title and 2 contracts and City's drop-off, we're now in a huge position of power. 80 to 100 million realistic net spend is legitimate enough to make us a generational team. FSG must capitalise. So, I do agree with you a lot, mate, about Manchester City weakening to some extent. It'll be interesting to see what business they conduct this summer and if Guardiola can start to shape that new team. Arsenal are obviously going to be going in for a striker this summer, midfielder as well. And I think they will be our competitors next season. I think it'll be us, Manchester City and Arsenal in a 3-way battle. And let's wait and see what happens over the summer. But I think you've made a good point there, Cal. Some realistic outgoings with decent money on top of 100 million net, let's say. And I think we could do a lot of damage with that. Depends how much we bring in for some fringe players. Luke. Hello, Craig. How are you feeling? I know VVD is one of the best, but 400k a week is a bit too much for a centre-back because, for me, it is my opinion. Look, would I have ideally given Virgil that amount of money? Probably not, Luke, in all honesty. But it got to the point where it was an unfixable situation to me if he left and Mo left. And they got the deals that their agents were able to get for them. And look, Virgil is our captain and Mohamed Salah is our talisman. So yeah, I agree, probably a little bit higher than some of us would have liked, but they are at the club and they're staying and I'm a happy fan. But I totally understand where you're coming from. But I do think Virgil van Dijk is certainly the best centre-back in the Premier League now and probably the top 3 ever in the Premier League. So, you know, the way football is going, I think Virgil he got himself a good 50 million quid deal over 2 years. But, you know, he's our captain, so I'm happy he's staying. And look, I can't be a hypocrite either. I can't come on here moaning at people for not spending money and then not give credit and say, you know what, fair play. But I do agree, probably slightly on the high side for me. When we went back and had these conversations a few months back, I was saying that I wouldn't really be looking to put much of an increase, if any, on either of their deals. But when you get to the point where silly money is going to have been offered to these guys from loads of other clubs around the world, you know, Liverpool had to pay market value. And I guess we can look at it this way. How much have they saved by not doing this contract last year? So if you take that whole pot of money that maybe they've saved over that season, maybe they feel like this is kind of compensating for how long it dragged out. I don't know, but all I can say again is I'm happy it's done. Craig, do you think Klopp and Arnold are reuniting at Real Madrid? I would be astonished if Jurgen manages Real Madrid. Astonished. You know, that would be the second time in a short period that he has kind of gone away from his roots and what he professed to have football mean to him. So, like, a lot of fans in Germany, as we know, not happy that he went to the Red Bull franchise to become their global sporting director of football. But if you back that up by then going to Madrid, which is like the antithesis of everything Klopp seemingly loves about football, I just can't see it happening. I can't. There's just not a world where I think he takes the Real Madrid job. I just don't think it's a Jurgen Klopp job. I think Atletico Madrid, I could see him there. But genuinely, man, I will be really, really shocked if he ends up at Real Madrid. Will 200k for Ibu now be stupid? I still don't think he's worth it, Jaden. I don't. Ibu is not the finished product for me. And again, look, this is just one man's opinion. I'm not the one making this decision, so whatever happens there, you know, again, I want Ibu to stay, but 200 grand a week, it seems excessive for somebody of his current talent level. But again, don't want him to go, so let's wait and see. No way he's 400k per week, that's got to be bull. It isn't. Mate, this has been written about by some very credible journalists. The numbers being mentioned here. I think maybe 400k is a little bit higher. I think it might be 385, but it's certainly in that ballpark from what I've been reading. Anyway. Do you think Chiesa is the new Shaqiri? I don't know. Shaqiri got more game time and more chances anyway. Look, I've always said this. The only thing I can say about what's going on with Chiesa is I just get the feeling that Arne Slot never wanted him here and he's trying to prove a point, because I can't think of another logical reason why he wouldn't get more opportunities. How do I pronounce this name? Toquo? Said, Craig, what's up? You're the best, thank you, sir. Are we signing Kirkes, Huijsen, Frimpong, Stiller, Simons and Nketiah? I don't think we signed Frimpong based off, you know, my own guesswork. The first two, I think there's a very, very good chance that Liverpool sign both of those two. Stiller, it's plausible, absolutely, but I don't know for certain. Simons, his name has been mentioned. Is he worth the money? Unsure. And Nketiah, I would say, is probably at the top of our list. Actually, on Hugo, Who Scored put out a thing today, said Hugo Nketiah statistically calculated Who Scored characteristics: strengths, passing, dribbling, key passes, holding onto the ball. Weaknesses, player has no sign of weaknesses. So, you know, they're scoring him very highly. Another interesting point on this came from Marcus Crush on Nketiah, or Kusha, excuse me. Said Hugo has developed very well. He's an interesting player for top clubs. He's still very young and has good prospects. 3 months ago, we sat here and discussed Omar Marmoush. If our players deliver exceptional performances, we won't stand in their way. So again, it looks like from the Frankfurt side, they're almost preparing for his departure this summer. What are your thoughts on Kamara from Monaco? I don't know anything about him. No idea, mate. Haven't seen a minute of him playing. Don't watch Monaco. Yeah, sorry, I'm not any use to it in this one. The last defensive midfielder we signed from Monaco didn't work out too badly for us, but yeah, sorry, man. I wish I could be more help, but I honestly haven't got a clue. Did you see the Ola Aina links or Aina links? Said Brian Box. So the thing about him, Brian, is I know everybody keeps talking about the fact that his contract is up at the end of the season, but Forest have an option to extend that by one more year. Now, you would imagine with European football, they do that. I know it's kind of touch and go for the Champions League for them at the minute, but we do have to keep that in mind that he does have, or they do have the option to extend that by one more year. Stevie boy, Mo and Virgil signed. Isn't time for Trent to tell us his intentions? Yes. And that's all I've ever wanted through all of this, mate. It's just a bit of upfront honesty here. If Trent's changing his mind and wants to stay, well, you would make Liverpool fans very happy by coming out and saying that. But yeah, definitely one way or the other, we are getting to that point now where, we're weeks out from Trent's contract being up. So yes, I think he should be starting to front up. We should have done it a long time ago, but yeah, definitely now, mate, we need to know what's happening. Jaden, I just think that's the going rate for a starting centre-back. Look, as I said, bro, don't take my opinion as gospel. It's just that, one man's opinion. I just don't think Ibrahim Kanade has progressed from an 80 grand a week centre-back to a 200 grand a week centre-back. I just don't. I am also very weary of how the club let it get to this point. If you're asking me for my outside reading of the situation, I don't know if Edwards and Hughes are that fussed if Kanade goes or not, because that's the only reason I can think of as to why they haven't pushed this through. Fabrizio Romano said a couple of months back that things were going really well in those conversations and it looked like they were close to a deal. Now all of a sudden, everything's been stonewalled. We know Paris Saint-Germain are going to be interested. If Ibu wants to move to Paris, then Liverpool should have to cash in this summer. But look, I want him to stay. I would sell Kwanzaa, and I'm going to move on to speak about him in a minute, and I would use that money to bring in Huijsen, and then I would still say we could probably do with another centre-back anyway. And on this, James Pearce said, Liverpool insist that Jarell Kwanzaa, who signed a new 5-year contract in October, isn't for sale. Respectfully disagree with James Pearce on that one. Yeah, I think if an offer comes in that Liverpool deem of the right price bracket, Kwanzaa can be sold. Genuinely. James Pearce is certainly somebody who has been right and wrong on certain things. He was talking about Liverpool not looking for a goalkeeper, and then we signed Mamardashvili. So I would just have a different opinion on James Pearce with that one. So what did you think of Vinicius Jr.'s comments after the game last night? If we're talking about the referees and English teams, it was fake. If you look from the account it was from, it was a parody account. So I'm not sure if they're the comments that you were talking about. But either way, he and Real Madrid were just shit last night, in all honesty, and got what they deserved, which was to be knocked out. They gave it the big one all the way through. Spoke about the comeback, blah-de-blah-de-blah. The thing that annoyed me about that game most last night was that absolutely piss-take 6-minute penalty check, which should have been dealt with in seconds, because there was no way Declan Rice fouled Mbappe. That was never in a million years a penalty. And how it took them that long to come to that conclusion, I thought it was a disgrace, quite frankly. And it's only going to add to more people despising VAR and what it does to the flow of a game of football, the intensity of a game of football. It was a joke. Remy, how are you, bro? Said Craig, at this point, I'm willing to nick a press pass, show up to a post game, and ask Slot why he isn't playing Chiesa, seeing as the journos haven't got the stones to do it themselves. That is one thing, Remy, that I really do get frustrated about. Like, the Karens that are the journalists that cover Liverpool Football Club on the patch, and that's what I'm calling them now, journalistic Karens, because they never really have anything good to say, but they like to piss and moan at the rest of us. So the Karens, I don't get it. It's not like that difficult a question, is it? Like, it's not a question that's going to land you in hot water. Fairly straightforward question that many, many Liverpool fans want answered. And I would imagine the journalists would want to know the answer to it as well. So it's either one of these where they've been told not to ask it, and again, I can't speak to that fact, or, as always, we're sitting here talking about them being cheerleaders rather than journalists. I think the ref had balls not to give that at the Bernabeu, Craig. Most refs would have given it. Well, that's been some of the problems with Real Madrid over the years, is they've got some very, 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 very soft decisions, and that was a shocking decision. How did it take 6 minutes to figure out that wasn't a penalty? John and Tom Werner said, Craig, had some time off recently and was watching Atletico Madrid matches, and I've got to say Julian Alvarez is 100% my dream signing. Such a tidy player, would be like signing Virgil up top. You can go all the way back to when Man City signed him from River Plate. I said the same thing. I would have loved him at Liverpool, still would. So totally agree with you, my man, but I don't think we're going to be in luck in that one. Carl said, keep saying it. If Trent stays, club promo is him sat on the throne doing the this gesture, is it? Wet dream. Well, let's check in on the poll. We asked, do you think Trent stays? We've had about 750 votes, so still time to vote away in it if you haven't. Let us know what you think. Do you think there's a chance Trent stays? When it gets past 1,000 votes, we'll let you know the results. I'm from Bulgaria, Craig. Greetings. Sorry, bro. I'd seen that message a moment ago. Meant to go back to it. Liz removed, or it was removed because you were spamming the message over and over again, and we do ask people not to do that, my friend. But either way, welcome in, and thank you for your support. And lots of love to you over in Bulgaria. Country, actually, I haven't had a chance to visit yet. What are my thoughts on Lucas Bergwijn of Spurs? He's okay. You know, wouldn't be going out of my way to be looking to bring him to Liverpool or anything, but he's all right. Mutz, say what you see, said, loved by Cecic, similar to Thiago in many ways. Unfortunately, the one similarity I wish he didn't have is injuries. I think that will follow his career. I don't think he's had too many this season. You know, it's not unusual for a young player. I'm thinking back to even Stevie G here, who coming through needed that time for their body to really acclimatise and build up the rigorousness needed, or the toughness needed for regular senior football. But I still don't know what's happening with him this summer. You know, it'd be nice to, again, get some clarity around what is happening there. CF787 said, Trent's situation is ridiculous now. Club should announce his decision after giving him a week's deadline. I said the same a while ago, mate, as well. I don't know what's wrong with saying you have until X date to tell us what you're doing. You know, hard deadlines are in every walk of life. So, yeah, nothing wrong with saying, look, here's our offer. You have until this day. But I think it's a matter of battling for hearts and minds, like I've said. The club don't want to come across like they've forced something. Trent doesn't want to come across like he's kicking up a fuss. The whole thing just feels like it's an embarrassment, because that's what it is at this point. Do I see De Bruyne coming to Liverpool? No. And I did include it in the video last night, the late one, because it was mentioned in a couple of papers as a possibility. But no, I don't see it coming. And I think David Ornstein said as much as well, that he still thinks De Bruyne would be able to compete. But I just don't think the money involved would be one that would make sense to Liverpool. Riley Grant said, Ibu needs a real challenge for me. He has been far too calm and lackadaisical, almost as if he knows he won't get dropped. I love Slot, but for me this comes down to his stubbornness and lack of trust. I think we're going to make a big play for Huijsen, and that's what only adds to my belief that we sell Kwanzaa. So we'll wait and see what happens there. If we do sell him and we had Kanade kept, Van Dijk, Huijsen and Gomez stuck around, well, that's 4 centre-backs there that I would feel very happy about. Still want a young one to come through as well. Maybe that's Nallo, I don't know. But look, I'm excited now. Now we can sit back and wait and see what happens. You know, we want to wrap the league up ASAP. Premier League predictions video, by the way, is recorded. That'll be coming out at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. If the video continues, look, this is very rare that I say this because, you know, I've been very fortunate in this journey that you guys have watched and tuned into most of what we do. But the Premier League predictions video is the worst watched video of all the videos we put out on the channel. So I'm trying to keep persevering with it till the end of the season. But if it stays as unpopular as it has been, and look, that's cool. No problem with it. It probably will be ditched for next season. But just to let you know, it is recorded. It will be out in the morning. And yeah, have a look through it and let me know if you agree or disagree with some of the results. Stiller, Varela, Ederson or Baleba would be good, said Brian Box. All very decent names. Baleba, I think, would be cost prohibitive. You know, Brighton looking at about 100 million there last time I'd seen for him, which is ridiculous. You know, it seems like that's the only number they know, by the way, is 100 million. 100 million they want for João Pedro, 100 million plus for Baleba. Oh, and also, did you see that Caicedo is apparently wanted by the Saudi Pro League now in Al Nassr? And I wonder if he smells that Saudi money, will Caicedo start kicking up a fuss to get out of Chelsea? Jaden said, not ASAP, we want to win at home. Well, I want us to win at home as well. So I'm with you, mate. But, you know, when I say ASAP, I mean so we can just enjoy and know it's done. And we can maybe start seeing some younger players get minutes. Maybe we see Rio get some time. But I do agree with you. I would rather it was one at Anfield against Spurs. It'd just feel better, wouldn't it? Liverpool Prophet said, Craig, any links to a DM, bro? I think we need one. Can't let Ryan thrive in the, can let Ryan thrive in the A position. Nothing concrete other than, again, it was one of the Echo journalists, I can't remember which one. They did kind of speak about this situation the other day, and they kind of intimated that bringing in somebody there to be an option instead of Ryan Gravenberch was something that needed to be addressed. But can't say I've seen a whole host of links, but that could be a good thing as well. Craig, do you do the match preview during a live stream, then clip it up? No. So for each game we do. No, all done uniquely. Haven't recorded the one for the weekend yet. I'm going to record it tomorrow. It's going to go out Saturday morning. But no, we do it separately as a pre-recorded video. Pablo said, I love the prediction videos. Keep them coming. Thank you, my man. Look, I enjoy making them. Genuinely, I do. I love going through them and trying to have a stab at what the results are going to be. So appreciate that, my man. Right, again, let's check the poll. Nearly there. We just need just over 100 more votes to go. So if you haven't voted in our poll, please do. Do you think Trent stays is the question. Man like Spence said, would you rather Gittins, Gordon, Simons or Yildiz? Yildiz ain't happening. There's no way Juventus are going to sell him. I don't believe anyway. Simons could go one of two ways. Could be an absolute masterstroke or could stink the gaff up. Unsure. So on that list, probably Gordon. And I think there is a chance that we revive our interest in Anthony Gordon, by the way. There was what article was it yesterday? Let me go back through from my notes from yesterday, in case you didn't see yesterday's videos. 1 second. Where was it? Yeah, it was this one here. So Football Insider said Newcastle United would entertain offers for Anthony Gordon this summer if they're forced to make sales to comply with PSR. And I'd add into that the emergence of Harvey Barnes and how well he's been doing. So I think we could see Gordon revisited. I don't think it's out of the question. You know, he certainly wants the idea of a move to Liverpool. We know that. We know Liverpool were open to signing him last summer. And And I think with Harvey Barnes starting to really impress in the latter part of the season now and seems to have gotten through those injuries, maybe Newcastle will think, okay, if we sell out Gordon and we can bring in another one or two attackers. So I'm not saying it's definitely happening, by the way, but I'm just saying I wouldn't say it's impossible. Is Klopp to Real Madrid happening? Don't know, Nessie, but I hope not. I hope not. Craig, if you could pick 3 players to have dinner with, departed or still there, who would you have picked? At Liverpool. If it has to be at Liverpool, who would I go with? Robbo will definitely be there. Steven Gerrard and Kenny, probably. I just think Robbo would be so much fun. If we're talking about any footballers anywhere in the world, well, Ronaldinho would have to be coming along, wouldn't he? That would be amazing. Ronaldinho, who else would I want? Who'd be a good crack on a good night out? Probably... See, I like my mad characters, so I'm trying to think of somebody like Chilavert, the Paraguayan goalkeeper. Who else would be mad? Oh, Hristo Stoichkov. Yeah, probably him. Kelleher, Trent and Kwanzaa all looking like they have a good chance to leave. We would need to get some homegrown players. Agreed. I think the plan will be to address some of the homegrown player problems this summer. So it's so exciting and yet so unnerving because we know we look set to do some business this summer, but of course we're unsure exactly who and what and when and why. Who should be the rotation option for Salah if we sign one? I think we already have one, but the manager won't play him. Chiesa seems the obvious one. And then, you see what happens with young Rio and his progression, and it just feels weird. We have somebody there that we could rest and give minutes to occasionally. It's just the manager doesn't want to play him. Morgan Rogers would be a great signing. You'll like the late video, so watch this space. Late video later on. I've got a bit of a story for you around Morgan Rogers, so keep an eye out for that one. Do I trust Bradley? 100%. What I don't, or would have some concerns about, is of course the injuries. But as a player, 100% trust them. Don't think he's the finished product, but then again, nor should he be at that age. But I've no concerns with him being good enough. I definitely think he is. Can you please explain the homegrown rule? Now, I really don't mean for this to sound condescending or anything. It's easier to Google it and read it through yourself because I would know it inside out and you'll get a far better explanation if you Google it and have a read through because I don't know exactly off the top of my head what characterizes it. Like, for instance, I think Robbo just missed out on being a homegrown player because of the amount of time before he was 21 or something like that. So best to Google it and get a proper answer rather than me maybe giving you a part of it that would just be incorrect. Craig, will you take your broccoli raw or cooked? I feel like raw is probably the way to go, Dave, because ultimately it's going to be get that chewed up and down as quickly as possible. Oh God, even thinking about it, Dave. Put a bit of Kerrygold on that broccoli. Game changer, said Till Sheen. Nice. Right, got another ticketing update for our shows today. Tickets are going well, so thank you to everyone that's already got their tickets to come along and see us. Again, you can scan that QR code or use the link in the description of the video if you'd like to come and see us at either of our 2 shows in Liverpool. One last day of the season, another 3 days later, May 28th, and both at the Hot Water Comedy Club. Must say what you see. Welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, sir. Could you say hi to my daughter, Florence, and tell her it's bedtime? Of course. Absolutely, no problem. Florence, young lady, 'tis time for bed now. That's okay. Doesn't mean you have to just pretend to go to sleep when you go, Florence. But, Daddy Dan said it's time for bed. So, unfortunately, you got to do it. But here's the good thing, Florence. Sleep's important. I can't function without my sleep. And I put my youthful looks for my age down to the sleep. So, time to go to bed, young lady. Do what you're told. But also, you don't have to go to sleep. Just pretend when you're up there. Just, do you know what I mean? Works all the time. Biggest breakthrough for me in that regard was when I was younger, and when your parents come in to check on you and stuff, I used to close my eyes too tightly, and then it just clicked in my head one day, that's not how you sleep, Dumbo. So as soon as I started to close my eyes more lightly and breathe a bit more realistic, I started to fool them. Have I tried Tyrrell's mature cheddar and chive crisps? Tyrrell's are just, look, they're just English nonsense, mate. They're just not up there with the standard of Irish crisps. They're just nowhere near good enough. If we're talking about crisps, let's talk Keogh's, let's talk Tato, let's talk maybe even O'Donnell's, let's talk Hunky Dory's, let's talk King, let's talk Perry. But don't be giving me this Tyrrell's nonsense. Come on now. It's an insult to my heritage. John and Tom Verner out said Craig Anthony Gordon would make sense, especially since he'd cover a homegrown spot as well, and he loves Liverpool, which is always a bonus. That's true, but also the Diaz situation may lean into that. So if we sell Luis Diaz this summer, whether it's to Saudi or elsewhere, well, that would free up a spot on the left side that we could utilise with Anthony Gordon, which, as you said, would also tick those boxes. So great shout. Mutz, say what you see. Thank you, bro, for gifting 5 memberships. That is very kind of you indeed. Manhattan crisps are amazing. Yes, good shout. They are. Manhattan crisps are top notch, as are their peanuts. But yeah, great shout on that one. Do I think Szoboszlai is performing how he should be, or is he not good enough? Do you know what? That's a great question for the second poll. We've now had the votes on Trent, and 79% say no, they don't think that Trent stays. So pretty much 80% of people said no, they don't think Trent stays. Now, on the Szoboszlai one, that's a really good question, and I think a good one for a second poll. Right, so question is, are you happy with Szoboszlai this season? Because this is one of the most talked about subjects throughout the entire campaign. People either feeling like he's been underappreciated or people feeling like he's underachieving. I'm probably in the underappreciated camp, in all honesty. I do think a little bit more end product wouldn't go astray, but I also think people need to remember he's still relatively young for a midfielder and still getting to grips with the Premier League and Liverpool and maybe the scrutiny that comes with being at a club the size of Liverpool. So for me, I would probably say if you're looking for a score out of 10, 6.5 on average for the season. Could do better, but certainly wouldn't say he's thinking the gaff up or anything even close to it. I think McAllister will do better than Szoboszlai if he played in that position. It's look, Alexis is so versatile that it's hard to disagree with anybody that says that he can do anything, because I agree, he can do anything. Certainly more than capable of being in a more advanced position than we see him in at times at Liverpool. But look, I love Alexis McAllister. He's one of my favourite players at the club, and somebody who I think still in world football is underappreciated by many outside of the Liverpool fan base. I don't think a lot of people realise just quite how good he is. Am I streaming Saturday? Oh, good question. I don't think so. I don't think streaming's on the schedule for Saturday, but let me just check my notes and I'll tell you now. 1 second. Where's my notes for this one? Saturday. Nope. Saturday, no stream Saturday night. There will be the Leicester preview coming out in the morning, and then there'll be a news video. But yeah, no plans. Unless something breaks, of course. Unless some news story breaks. I want to see Szoboszlai taking the Trent free kicks when he goes. Yeah, good shout. I mean, Maka can hit one as well. So I wouldn't rule out Maka having a look at the free kicks. But, you know, I don't want Salah near free kicks. I don't. Penalties, great, no problems. But free kicks, yeah, Maka, Szoboszlai, even let Virgil one up every now and again. Marcus, if you were a manager, what would my style be? In what sense? Dress-wise? Oh, I'd definitely be hoodie and tracksuit bottoms. 100%. Or shorts and a hoodie. I wouldn't be wearing suits. I hate them. You know, unless I had to absolutely wear a suit because the club demanded it to a certain thing, I'd definitely be shorts and a hoodie, even in the middle of winter, probably. And style-wise, I would probably be a very demanding coach who would want aggression in the way the team play. I would certainly want us to be an attacking team. That is, I would probably look at the type of style Jurgen played. Very direct, chaotic, and passionate. You know, I'd want the team to be a representation of the way I see football and the way I want football played, which is 100 miles an hour. Mel, thank you for your kind words in the chat, Mel King. That's very kind of you. Right, folks, if I can ask a little favour, do drop a like for me on the stream if you haven't done so yet. Appreciate you. John and Tom Werner out said, Craig, I'm seriously wondering how Trent's management is advising him to stay silent when everybody knows he's going to Madrid. Speaking up will get more respect from the fans. Look, I said that for a long time. Players have their own careers to look after. And if he wants to move away because, let's say, he feels like he's won everything at Liverpool, he's won the league, he's won the Champions League, he's won the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Club World Cup, Super Cup, and everything else, and he wants to try something new, well, then just say it. Just come out and say that. But now, I think it's got too late for that. Because now it feels like, unless he stays, it's going to look really snidey whenever he announces he's going. And I agree, I think he's been terribly advised. Unless, of course, he stays. And even at that, I'd still say he should have been leaning into that a bit more about nothing is decided. That's all we needed to hear. Nothing's decided yet. We're still talking. You know, people who say, oh, but he said he wants to be respectful to the club. I've always viewed that as a cop-out answer myself because it covers all bases and gives him a get-out-of-jail-free card. So I've never liked that answer, but, you know, each to their own. No way Leon have equalised, have they? Wow. United were 2-0 up at half-time, right? I swear I'd seen Ugarte and Dalot had put them 2-0 up. United keep on Uniteding. My God. Stevie boy, look at that. 2-2. Desmond at Old Trafford. That's nuts. Lacazette with the goal. Wow. So that one must be, what, that's level on aggregate again. So that one, as it currently sits, heading for extra time. That's crazy. Darren, how are you, bro? Said, you're from New Zealand. Lovely to see you, Darren. Thank you for dropping in, my man. Lacazette, huh? Former Gooner scoring there at Old Trafford. Kirkes or Hincapié for left back? 1,000,000% Kirkes for me. You know, but Hincapié or Hato could be a very good signing that could give us a versatility across the back line. So I would still say go out and sign Kirkes. But let me pitch you a situation. So you go out and you sign Kirkes and you bring in Hato. Just bear with me. Andy Robertson has a year to go on his contract. So he's going to be probably up in a year. And then you have cover at left back in either one of those, as well as the starting left back in Kirkes and both of those gents can play left centre back. So that would be kind of my thinking on it. But again, I really just don't know what to expect, other than I feel like we're making a big move for Huijsen. Chelsea doing the same. I still have the original Anfield Agenda t-shirts. Great quality. I forgot to say, hope you and the family are well. Oh, and happy Virgil Day to you. Oh, that's class, man. I'm glad you still have it. I still have my original one as well upstairs. I have my Where's the Money John hoodie as well. And I'm going to get an Anfield Agenda logo hoodie when we design that one and release it soon as well. So appreciate you, Mutts. Thank you. Honestly speaking, how many players do you think leave this window and how much players join in the summer? Honestly speaking, Nasser, I think we see a left back go. Again, at least one centre back leaves, in my opinion. Trent, well, you know what's happening there, or maybe we don't. Diaz could potentially leave, and Darwin will leave. After that, I'm not really sure. Joe Gomez, perhaps. Let's wait and see what happens with him. Is there going to be movement with Harvey Elliott? Well, according to some reports, yes. Chiesa, you know, we keep being told that he's going to stay, but yet he keeps not getting a look in. So, 5-6 out, 5-6 in. But that would be enough if the in were players that the manager actually trusts to use in his squad. Bryson from South Africa. How are you, bro? Welcome in. What mic are you using now, Craig? It's a lot crisper. I'll show you. 1 second. It's this one. So it is a Shure MV7 Plus. It's a new one. It's an upgraded version of my other microphone. So we used to have the old Shure MV7. And now I've upgraded it to the Shure MV7 Plus. Yeah, so appreciate you. Glad it's coming through all right, because I had to set it up on my own because Connor's away and I was very nervy trying to set it up. So yeah, happy days. Nice one. Thank you. Very good quality microphone, by the way, if you're ever looking for one, because the reason I use the Shure MV7 is because you can use it via USB, or you can plug it directly into a mixer and use it with the 3-plug channel. Is it XLR? I think that's what it's called. So it gives you a versatile option of a very affordable microphone at about, I think it was about €280, something like that. And I've always wanted Shure microphones, but in the early days of the channel couldn't afford them, so I built my way up. Craig, what do you think about Canade's demands? 200k a week isn't too much to ask for, considering VVD's 400k a week. I can only keep giving you my honest answer, which is I don't think he's worth 200 grand a week. You know, would I prefer he got 200 grand a week than left? Yes, but in an ideal world, I'd be a 150 kind of a week person, and then look at it again in 2 years' time, where he's probably going to look for another renewal. And then if he pushes on that much, then you put him up into that 250, 300 bracket. But yeah, for me, I fear we may end up having to give it to him because of the way we've let the situation go. But I also wonder if PSG put a proper offer on the table to him and said, look, we want to sign you, and they turned his head. I'm fearful of that because, you know, Paris is his city, his club. So that worries me, which is why I keep saying I'd like this situation addressed very quickly. If we are going to get Ibu sorted out, then get it sorted out ASAP. If not, then we'll know what we need, and we'll need to go in and probably get 2 centre-backs in this market. But preference to stay, but genuinely just don't agree with the 200 grand a week. You know, we're talking about Virgil on 400 or whatever, but we're talking about Virgil 10 years or so, well, 8 years further into his career than Canade. And up until 2 days ago, he was on about 200 or 220 as one of the best defenders in the history of football. So, you know, I don't agree with just throwing money around. It has to make sense. And I don't think 200 grand a week makes sense for Canade. Craig, ever thought about putting the Shure microphone on a boom stand? Like this one? Mate, don't worry. And I muted myself there lifting it up. But yeah, I've always used the boom arm. I've used the boom arm for probably 6 years because you know the way I bang the table and whatnot. There you go. And yeah, one of the downsides to this new mic is the touch thing on it, which made me mute it. So, but yeah, I've always used one, and I'd advise anybody else to as well because it certainly helps cut out sound of anything on a table if you're moving it around or fluctuation, especially for podcasts. Alex said, Craig, 200k to Canada wouldn't be so bad if we didn't pay millions to agents on top. Thoughts on agents' fees? Mate, I've long been somebody who has spoken about my anger at the amount of money that agents are taking out of the game. You know, I can't say this for every other sport, but why is it in football that clubs are paying agents? Why aren't players paying agents? Like, some of the numbers, man, like Google, because I don't want to give you a fake number, but Google the money Mina Raiola made when Paul Pogba went back to United. Now, I don't think I'm exaggerating to say he made about 25, 30 million pound upwards. For what? For what? For going, yeah, that's a good deal, sign that, or for negotiating a deal. It's absolute insanity. And Liverpool spent about, what was it again? Do I have the numbers still? Let me check. I might have the numbers. Yeah, here they are. So Liverpool spent almost 21 million pound last season on agents fees, and that would have been for 2 deals and the backroom staff deals. And if you look further up the list, Man City 52 million on agent fees, Chelsea 60 million pound on agent fees in 1 year. That's like all in Premier League clubs in the last 2 transfer windows, so 1 year, spent 410 million pound. 410 million pound gone out of the game to agents. That is disgusting. Craig, did you see that Bobby Clark might come back? Don't know if it's true. I don't think he's coming back. Now, I've seen the stuff linking him with a move away from Salzburg, but remember how he left Liverpool with his black and white photos, and it just it doesn't strike me that he'll be coming back to us. He'd come back to England, maybe back up Newcastle, I don't know, but I just don't get the feeling he'll be back to Liverpool. But I did see the story linking him with a move away from Salzburg, all right. Craig, your best 3 forwards in Liverpool history. Ian Rush, Luis Suarez, Robbie Fowler would be my 3. You know, others will make an argument for Owen. Torres, others might make an argument for. But for me, Ian Rush, Luis Suarez, Robbie Fowler. That would be my 3. Weird question. I have a project for school. What are your opinions on vapes? So I'm all for anything that genuinely helps people quit smoking, as somebody who used to smoke. So I used to smoke about 30 cigarettes a day, but I just stopped altogether. But vapes weren't a thing then. So if something genuinely helps you get off cigarettes and eventually remove nicotine, I think that's a good thing. But there's no denying that vaping has certainly brought through a new generation of younger nicotine addicts, and I don't like to see that. I also don't know enough about the physiological aspects of vapes and the chemicals involved. So, I mean, I'm not qualified to give you a proper answer on it, but ultimately, it's just smoking in another form. And unless you're using it to get off cigarettes and it does lead to you doing that, brilliant if that's the case, and well done to you. But it certainly feels like it's the new phase to get younger people hooked on nicotine. And for that reason, I hope young people don't, because I promise you, giving up cigarettes is one of the things I'm most proud of, one of the things I'm most ashamed that I ever started. And one of the things that even now, even though I've been off cigarettes 14 years, 15 years, I still worry about the long-term effects of it on my health. So, right, what else we got? Sorry, some more stuff to go through. Oh, bit of a fixture change, by the way. Liverpool's game, the second last game of the season. A new kickoff time has been announced for Liverpool's second to last Premier League game against Brighton. The match at the Amex Stadium will now take place on Monday, May 19th, with an 8 p.m. kickoff. So Monday, May 19th, 8 p.m. kickoff. Liverpool's away trip to Brighton, our second last game of the season. So what's happened? Someone got sent off there in the Leon United game. Leon have picked up a red card. Interesting. So again, as I said, look, people still talking about vapes in the chat. I'm not qualified to talk about the medical impact or effects of them, but I would just advise anybody to never get involved in anything with nicotine in your life in general. No good comes of it. Tom Judge said, "Hope you're good, Craig. Thanks for all the content." Thank you for 20 months as a member, Tom. That means so much, mate. And again, appreciate your kind words, bro. Thank you. What's my go-to takeaway? Pizza. Easy. I'm a pizza fiend. So yeah, pizza. Pizza, then fish and chips. Yeah, very rarely Chinese. Don't eat Indian food because I'm a coward. I don't like any spice or anything like that. So yeah, pizza. Right, some more words from Virgil. Virgil van Dijk, speaking about his new Liverpool deal, said, "I'm very happy, very proud. There are so many emotions, obviously, that go through my head right now speaking about it. It's a proud feeling, a feeling of joy. It's just incredible. The journey I've had so far in my career, to be able to extend it with another 2 years at this club is amazing, and I'm so happy. It's always Liverpool. That was the case. It was always in my head. It was always the plan, and it was always Liverpool. There wasn't any doubt in my head that this is the place to be for me and my family. I'm one of Liverpool. Someone called me the other day an adopted Scouser. I'm really proud to hear these things. It gives me a great feeling." And Virgil, it gives us a great feeling that you're staying at the club, sir. And it was a great way to wake up today and see that a contract was officially signed. Craig, would you take the vice-captain armband off Trent next season, considering how close to moving to Madrid? Not for the badge, but for his buddy Bellingham. I mean, I don't think he's going to be here, so I think it's a redundant point. But see, I don't know what the inside of the conversation was, so it's hard to know. But my gut instinct would be to say yes, I would remove her from him. But that's me being a bit bitter about it all as well. I'm trying to find. Chelsea lost 2-1 at home to a team whose name I'm not even going to try and pronounce. Yeah, but they're through. They're through. Well, they 3-0 up or something after the first leg. So I woke up this morning watching the video Liverpool posted about the contracts of the Liverpool fella. Nice. It's a good way to wake up, right? Good news to see. Your best LFC kit of all time. So the home shirt, AJ, would be 87, 88. My favourite away shirt was the 89-90 grey Fleck Candy one, because it was my first Liverpool shirt. Modern times, I like the 13-14 shirt. I thought that was a belter. But if the green kit for next season is true, that'll be right up there on my list as well. Rangers are out, said Mark. Thank you on that one. The final is in Bilbao as well, so big push for Bilbao to make sure that they can get there. I love these pictures of signings and new contracts. Mo and Virgil were brilliant, said Harry James. Yeah, the one of Virgil with the kind of suit of armour was class. And I love the background as well of all his big moments at Liverpool on the wall behind him. It was amazing. Unfortunately, the Rangers, I thought they did really well to get where they were. Yeah, they had a great campaign. No denying that. Some big moments as well. Rangers and potentially United getting knocked out means happiness in my household, said Riley Grant. How do I feel about the new Champions League system so far? Pissed off, obviously, you know. I feel a little bit annoyed about it because we managed to top the whole league format and end up with PSG in the first knockout round, which didn't exactly feel like a reward for having topped it. So unsure how I feel about it all. As a content creator, the more games Liverpool play, the better for me. As a fan, obviously the same, but yeah, unsure on it. I'm not somebody that likes too much change, and I feel like that whole Swiss model is overly complicated. But ultimately, if it means Liverpool pick up another European Cup or two down the line, then happy days. Am I watching United? No, just here with you guys doing the stream. Yeah, focused on chatting with you guys. I'll watch the highlights back later on, or maybe even finish the stream in about 15 minutes and then see if it goes to penalties or whatnot. Then again, though, Craig, you have to beat the best to be the best. That's true. That is absolutely true, and I've said this all the way along. If Arsenal go and win it, nobody can say they had an easy run in. They would have beaten Real Madrid in the knockout phases. They would have beaten Paris Saint-Germain in the knockout phases, and then they would have had to beat either Barca or Inter to win it. So if Arsenal do go on to win it, nobody can say they had it the easy way. They would have deservedly done what they've done. It just sucks like that we lost on penalties at Anfield as well. It just, I don't know, it stings. It feels like a bit of an anti-climax to the season because I was hoping for a deeper run there. Keane said, starting to the NFL, what team do you support? So after 3 years of backwards and forwards and ups and downs, I settled with the Packers. It was the Packers and the Texans. It was one of those two. But ultimately, I went for tradition on the Packers. So, yeah, Green Bay Packers for me. Brooke said, in all fairness, PSG clicked into form at the right time. They did, absolutely, mate. They had a wobbly start to the season, but you're right, they peaked at the right time, and that's what the Champions League is about. Madrid have been masters of doing that over the years, having a wobble during the initial phases of it and then just getting it together at the right time. So, yeah, spot on. Totally agree with you. Craig, you're always welcome in the Bills Mafia. Oh, mate. I have massive respect. The thing about, it's too cold though, Buffalo. Josh Allen he's probably my favourite quarterback to watch. He's incredible. He just does it. Takes it on his back and does it all. Him, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. But yeah, I think I love watching the Bills play. I do. Josh Allen is just incredibly good fun to watch. I wanted hate the Packers. Oh, spot the Chicago fan. Mark, am I right? Am I right, Mark? Are we a Chicago fan? Do I support Bray Wanderers in the Irish League? I don't know. Shelburne, mate, would be my team. Although I played in the Carlisle grounds when I was younger 3 times in cup finals, because when I was under 8s and under 9s, we played in the Wicklow League, and then we moved to the Dublin District Schoolboy League because I grew up in Shankill, which is right beside Bray. But my family there was more Shelburne fans, so I was taking the Shelburne games when I was younger. Jason said, huge Texans turnaround. CJ Stroud's elite. Yeah, he looks brilliant. A real talent. Again, like, I'm not professing to be anything other than a newbie to the NFL, but yeah, CJ Stroud was fun to watch. David said, also hate the Packers. Lions fan here. Well, I tell you what, the Detroit Lions were really good fun to watch. Yeah, really good team. Probably feel like they should have done a bit better this year. In all honesty, I know. I know. Look, from my brief understanding of the NFL, it's been a long time for some success to come. But Detroit Lions looked really good fun watching them this season. Whenever I did see them on Sky, enjoyed their games, and I love the coach, Dan Campbell. Is that his name? Seems like a proper stand-up, salt of the earth kind of guy. And by the way, a big unit of a fella. Former player, is he? I think, but wouldn't fuck with him. Wouldn't argue with him in the changing room either. Oh, Spurs are through. Well done to Spurs. They've officially knocked out Frankfurt. Wow. Well done, Spurs and Ange. Semi-final. Is he going to get that second season trophy? Wow, that's really interesting one. Remy, thank you, my man, for your super chat. Said, I'm rooting for Dom to score the goal that wins us the Prem. His hard work deserves it. Who would I like? I wouldn't mind Robbo scoring it either, but look, I don't really mind, mate. As long as we get to win that Premier League and get to lift that trophy, happy days. David said, yes, true, Dan Campbell, former tight end. Yeah, he just looks like a manager or a coach that I wouldn't be giving any lip back to. Many consider football was much better in the 90s than the current days. Agree? No, disagree. Go watch the 1990 World Cup final and tell me that that was a good spectacle. It was absolutely horrendous. The back pass rule, getting rid of that was fantastic as well. Introducing 3 points into football in leagues for a win, I thought was a really good idea. I would say the game could do with being a bit tougher these days. It's definitely gotten a bit softer, which I guess probably isn't a bad thing for protecting players and the longevity of their careers. But no, I think these days players are far more fit, agile, technical. Pitches are better. But look, I loved football all the way through my life, from the late 80s all the way through to now. Craig, Spurs through. Hugo Kittigill was okay, nothing to write home about. Maybe a better service could give a better opinion. Yeah, look, I don't know enough about him, mate. Other than him and João Pedro are scoring really highly. Like I keep saying on the data-driven recruitment for Liverpool. And look, hopefully that will at least keep the price reasonable. Because if they'd have gone on to win the Europa League, he probably could have stuck another 20 million on this price. Hopefully now it means we can get him at a reasonable price. I'm not muted, Ryan. That's incorrect, mate. What else we got? More skillful back in the 90s, noughties. Well, 90s noughties are different things. So which one was it? I was asked about the 90s, and again I say watch that Italian 90 World Cup final. It was horrendous. I'd give anything, Stephen said, for Gomez to get a goal before the end of the season. The real Johnny Sin said, Craig, I'd happily take Harry Kane at Liverpool. It's guaranteed goals. Akitika's bang average, same old story as Darwin. But Kane's picking up some knocks and injuries as well. We're talking as if Hugo's already a Liverpool player. And look, I don't know who we are going to sign through the centre. I'm only going through the names that keep being mentioned, which are João Pedro, Hugo Akitika, Alexander Isak, Julian Alvarez, last two unrealistic. Benjamin Sesko, kind of not mentioned too much. Mateus Cunha, Liam Delap. So, look, I guess we'll have the proper conversation around whether we think X or Y is good enough when we know who it is. Italia 90, the best World Cup. Look, I loved it as an Irishman. Obviously, incredible for my country and what it did for the confidence of our country. But that final was awful. It was a terrible, terrible spectacle of a final. But enjoyed it as a World Cup because, of course, Ireland got to the quarterfinals, beating Romania, on penalties in the last 16, and then lost to Toto Scalacci's goal for Italy. Risa, absolute scream of a free kick against United, said Grim Reaper. Oh, okay. I don't know how we got to that point. Right, let's check in on the poll. We asked, are you happy with Szoboszlai this season? And we're nearly at 1,000 votes. So I'm going to keep it open. We've about 150 to go. So if you haven't voted, do please vote. The question that I've been kind of put to me a lot this season was around his future. And do we think he's good enough at Liverpool? And I've always said I do. But some people seem to think he's not performing well enough this year. Which is strange considering we're about to win the league, right? Saw something earlier about Sesko to Liverpool, but lost the page, couldn't find it again. Look, we could have a great advisor in Jurgen there to at least bounce ideas off on Sesko. Lots of talk in Germany that he is going to move on and leave Leipzig this summer. All that remains to be seen is where he heads off to. Craig, been seeing tweets saying Anfield is losing its atmosphere. Is it really getting that quiet or just haters? So, honest answer is I watch games on mute. So, I only really watch them back later. And I haven't noticed all that much of a decline. It's a difficult situation to address because sometimes it depends on the game, what's at stake, the time of day. Is it a big European Cup tie? Is it a 12:30 kickoff against fucking, I don't know, Wolves? You know, but what I don't like is the finger pointing. So what's the thing you always see when the atmosphere comes up? First thing, too many overseas fans, too many day trippers. But yeah, my question is, well, there's more season ticket holders inside Anfield than anybody else. So why is it always an easy out to point to the non-local or the day tripper fans? I think that's a cop-out. I think the answer is a mixture of a whole lot of things. One, mates not getting to sit together. I've always had this kind of bit of a mad idea, but an unreserved area of the Kop, let's say, where there was a section of, I don't know, 1,000 people that have season tickets there, but don't have an exact seat. So maybe you can congregate people together that know each other to get things going. Secondly, I think there are some people on the Kop that need to move to the main stand or the centenary. And I've been at games and heard a lot of negativity from older Scouse fans as well. And yes, there is also the other part of it where there are some people who spend too long on their phones. I'd love to get to a point where we've got phone bans in stadiums. You know, you see it now in other aspects of life. Some pubs are introducing it. I'm all for somebody taking photographs of their trip to Anfield for the warm-up, before the game, after the game. But I'm somebody that when I'm at the game, I want to watch the game. I don't care about showing somebody else what I was witnessing later. I want to be there in person watching it. So, a mixture of a whole load of things. But I don't think there's any one element that is the reason why the atmosphere in Anfield maybe isn't as vitriolic or as hyped up as we'd want it to be all the time. We haven't played well, said Nick, for 2 months, feeling more nervous. Yeah, that adds to it as well, but that's that's when you would want Anfield to come to its best. You know, we don't want those nervous feelings creeping in. That's where you've got to bite the bullet and just get behind and support. Now look, I don't think, and as I've said many times, I don't like to point fingers of blame anywhere here, because I think there isn't an overnight one-size-fits-all solution to it. So yeah, that's it. Like, I'm not clever enough to figure it out, but I just don't like one section of people constantly being vilified. And whatever you read, it's always that. It's always, day trippers, non-locals. Well, bullshit. No, it isn't. They're part of the problem, but they aren't all of the problem. Craig, I've been lucky enough to go to the Masters twice and no phones allowed there. Being present is the best way to enjoy sports and concerts. 100%. Like, I have this weird thing in my head where I go, why would I want to show somebody else the great concert or the great goal that I didn't pay attention to in real time? It freaks me out. Like, I wouldn't even think of taking my phone out of my pocket other than a quick selfie before the game or a quick video of You'll Never Walk Alone being sung or something small like that. And then when the ref blows the whistle, my focus is 100% on the pitch, on shouting, on being behind the team and on being in the moment. Because God, you pay enough to get there these days, to sporting events, concerts. Be present, enjoy it. Neski Sek said, finally the contracts are done. What do I think of the summer window? I'm optimistic. I'm nervous, but I'm certainly far more relaxed now, my friend, that we know that Virgil and Mohammed are staying. That definitely does calm me down. Riley, Craig, if you couldn't support Liverpool, which team would you support? Newcastle. Yeah, always said the same. Geordies, like Scousers, salt of the earth people. I'm very much a real kind of working class roots type of fella. A simple man who doesn't, really give a shit about frills and bells and whistles. And I'm just a working class fella. And they're the type of people that I feel a connection with. So yeah, probably Newcastle if Liverpool didn't exist. Dom is unreliable. Sometimes he plays amazingly, but other times he plays badly. But he always gives 100% effort. And that's the thing that I admire about Dom. He leaves it all out there on the pitch. And I have a real soft spot for those Dirk Kuyt type players who just, no matter what, just keep going, keep going, keep going, and keep going. Right, nearly there. 930 votes now. Are you happy with Dominik Szoboszlai this season? Do keep voting away. Going to finish up the stream in the next couple of minutes. And of course, we will be back tomorrow night as well. I do have a news video coming up. So if you want to go then watch the extra time or whatever in the United game, the news video will be coming out. It'll be out in about 20-25 minutes. And Morgan Rogers is one of the subjects of this video. So you may want to watch and let me know what you think about that potential deal, which is what I'm going to be discussing. The real Johnny Sin said, Craig, I ain't going to lie, there's too many oldies at Anfield. Look, lifelong fans have a right to be there as well. I just think maybe sometimes time to migrate into the main stand or the King Kenny stand rather than on the Cop. Maybe bring back the boys' pen as well. It's just things where I think if you can get more groups of people that know each other together in areas in a stadium, it'll help the atmosphere. That's one thing. Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say goodnight to you all. Again, appreciate you dropping in tonight. Have yourselves a wonderful Thursday evening. We'll be back tomorrow. The preview Premier League predictions video, will be out at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So let me know your thoughts on that. And I will see you tomorrow night. Same time, same place, 8:45 for the late night agenda. Much appreciated. Do drop a like for me if you can. Let's get up to 500 before we head off. And again, appreciate your support. The result of tonight's poll, the last one, was that 79%, so almost 80% of people said they are happy with Dominik Szoboszlai this season. 21% say no. So much like the Trent poll, very much one-sided. Right, folks, appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.